Good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Level High Notes this month. So my name is Erin Kopek, and I am the Director of Marketing with Higher Level. And today you have joined our program. We are going to be discussing upskilling candidates and boosting retention and different training programs that help that within your workforce. One thing that we've been noticing as a workforce management company working in many different industries is just supporting upskilling candidates and really noticing a skills gap in certain areas. So today we have with us Dobby Heron. He's the director of East St. Louis Higher Education Center at Lewis and Clark Community College. And we also have Trayvon Jones, and he is the community engagement coordinator at Connections to Success. Just a few housekeeping things before we get started. This call will last less than an hour. You do have an opportunity to ask questions. If you would like to, you can do that in your chat or question box, and we would be happy to answer those at the end of the presentation. We also will be recording this presentation and would be happy to send it out to everyone that attended today, just so you can take a look at it later on and share with your colleagues if needed. So before we get started, I would like to introduce our speakers. We have Trayvon Jones today, and he was born and raised in East St. Louis. He graduated from Alhoff Catholic High School in 1999 and attended Eastern Illinois University until he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps shortly after 9/11. As a Marine, Trayvon initially served as a mechanic for 5 years, serving as a career planner for the subsequent 9 years. Upon return to the Metro East in fall 2016, Trayvon has fruitful entrepreneurial endeavors, enduring synergies with local businesses, strong collaborations with nonprofits, and effective dialogue with local and community government and major employers. Trayvon currently serves as a St. Louis Regional Job Developer as Connections to Success. Thank you for joining us, Trayvon. We also have Dr. Dobby Heron. He is the director of the East St. Louis Higher Education Center with Lewis and Clark Community College. And it also is an avid practitioner of Stoicism and has over 20 years of experience working with students and communities both in Missouri and Illinois. Dobby earned his doctorate from Maryville University and has held leadership positions at a variety of higher education institutions in the St. Louis area. Although not native to St. Louis, Dr. Heron has lived in the area for over 15 years and has made Ferguson his and his family's home. Thank you both, and I turn it over to you.
Well, I want to say thank you for having us again, and thank everybody for tuning in. I think this is kind of unique because what you all are witnessing is kind of an ongoing conversation and a budding partnership. And the things that we're talking about on and off camera are really applicable to every the industries that we have in the St. Louis area and workforce. And some of those things that we are doing can be applicable to situations with other nonprofit agencies and other employers. So I think these things are beneficial for you all for everybody to get involved in having these conversations. We talked about building, pathways to livable wage employment for people. Well, those things can be those things apply to nonprofit agencies like Connections. Those things apply to levels of higher institution like Lewis and Clark, and those things that apply to employers as well. So, as we work on building those things the way that we like to see them, I think it's important that other people have the conversations as well, and put their spins on things, and maybe we all get lessons learned from each other, and we can continue to develop fruitful relationships with one another. Mm-hmm. Dobby, would you add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially in this climate and in this condition, it's imperative that we, kind of look for new ways to be innovative, creative, keep the workforce going, and make sure we have individuals who want to be successful in a position and in an environment that will kind of foster that. And I think the relationship we have now with Connections to Success and what we've done over the past couple of years for their participants has made a tremendous impact in our region. The individuals we work with, we know they've gained tremendously from this experience. And, going forward into the end of 2020 and the beginning of 2021, we want to make sure these partnerships not only exist, but have the capacity to grow and strengthen. So, we're very excited to be a part of this discussion, field some questions, and see if collectively, if we as providers of opportunities and employers, can't figure this thing out to ramp up what we're already doing and make improvements.
So yeah, I would say some of the things that we've discovered kind of in the course of taking this journey together, from the social service aspect, we're very romantic about people and walking with people and kind of meeting them where they are. With higher education, what we see as you all are very passionate about preparing people for the employment of the future and the tasks that the future needs, and employment sector is very, very focused on strengthening the economy and keeping things flowing. But what we found is the simple communication between the three sectors can make things very, very much fruitful for everybody. So and that's what this whole conversation is about. And it's kind of spurred up some things and some of the issues that we want to talk about today, specifically some of the conversations that we've been having is grant opportunities and how grant opportunities could apply to a situation like this where we're attempting to create pipelines to kind of progress people into to livable wage situations. So specifically, I can speak to some of the grant opportunities that I've worked with in the St. Louis area, and there's tremendous opportunities for all three sectors to really kind of take advantage of grant opportunities. And really, there's ways to look at it from the standpoint of us, as the people who are kind of instituting these pipelines, and there's also very, very good outcomes that can happen for the actual individual. So specifically, we can look at a situation like in Illinois, we have a program called the Community Youth Employment Program, CYEP for short. The St. Louis metropolitan area employers have benefited from this, knowingly or unknowingly, for over the last 4 or 5 years within this region. So the way a pipeline would look, and what we've done in the past with this program is, we bring individuals in, those youths, those 16 to 24-year-olds. And I know there are a lot of employers who are really kind of dependent upon youth labor. If you're an employer like a Six Flags or any other kind of theme park, or even maybe the zoo or Busch Stadium, bigger employers are really kind of dependent upon youth employment. So you take a state subsidized youth employment program like CYEP. That is a very similar program with like STL jobs on the St. Louis side. There's also summer youth employment programs that are also state funded and even some federally funded opportunities. But what those programs are able to do for the nonprofit agency is to bring those people in and allow us to kind of do that personal and professional development piece, apply some of that state funding towards subsidizing employment and placing those people with good placement opportunities. But we can also wiggle in training dollars to where they could go to higher institutions, levels of higher education institutions, and get training opportunities like Lewis and Clark. So everybody kind of wins in that sector. So an example of such, we did an employment deal with Six Flags a few years back, and we were able to get 58 young people employed all at one time. So we're also able to subsidize that employment, but Six Flags wasn't very interested in the subsidy. So the individual benefited greatly. So what ended up happening was those kids were making like $17 an hour to work at Six Flags over the summer. Grant funding was able to pay for uniforms, whereas the individuals would normally need to take care of uniforms. The weight of 58 people being hired at once and having grant funding behind them allowed us to leverage and make deal with Metro in order to get bus passes at a really, really good price. And everybody kind of won from that situation. So we can kind of recreate those things as much as possible. And when we talk about upskilling, you add the educational institution like Lewis and Clark, and you add a certificate-based program to that, which grant funding a lot of times is able to pay for, and you kind of complete the circle with that. You want to add to that, Davi?
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the biggest benefits we've had by being in East St. Louis is having a relationship with connections. And so to Trayvon's point, we work with individuals where they are too. And so what happened over the course of I guess, a few semesters, we would work with the individuals that Connections had just finished taking through their personal and professional development program. As the director of the East St. Louis Higher Education Center, it's my job to get out and meet employers, find out what their needs are, what their issues are with their current employees. And then when we provide the training, we want to make sure we address those issues of coming to work on time, issues of being responsible. So once we get the individuals, we take them through a contextualized learning environment. So they will learn contextualized reading as it applies to the industry. They'll learn contextualized math as it applies to the industry. And so over the course of 8 weeks, we are really working very closely with a small group of individuals who have gone through the professional development piece. And so once they reach the training ground, they already have some of the foundational skills that employers are probably looking for. And then what we do is we couple that with the hard skills. And so our program is a forklift certified program because the training involves actual forklift operation. So what we have down in East St. Louis is a forklift simulator. It's the Raymond Forklift Simulator. And this is an impressive piece of equipment. So after the individuals go through the curriculum during the day, they also spend a lot of time actually driving a simulator or simulated forklift. So it feels as though you are really in the environment. It's programmable to all different types of lifts. So if your warehouse doesn't have a certain type of forklift, the software updates all the time. So it's always adjusting to whatever the current demands of the industry are. Not only that, employers are able to see just how well their employees have done on this simulator. So, we record the data. How many accidents did they have while they were in the warehouse? And all of this is extracted from our software. Employers can use it to see if, how their employees are doing, how well they did. And at the end of the whole process, they'll receive their OSHA 10 certification, forklift certification, and CPR first aid. So in the course of 8 weeks, we've taken individuals who primarily know very little about, the industry. We've offered them a forklift certification. We've trained them in the way of operating a forklift within a warehouse by individuals who have over 20 years of industry experience. So, for us, it's been a great pipeline, an easy progression. The students are on campus with us from like 8 until 3. It's a controlled environment. The forklift simulator is one-on-one. So, social distancing is not an issue. It's been a great program for us, and we're able to replicate this every 8 weeks. So as long as we have the pipeline, we can continue to offer these certificates, churn them out, and have individuals ready with the soft and hard skills that employers are looking for.
Dobby, in the course of us having a conversation, you said something that was very, very surprising to me. And I want to kind of give the audience an opportunity to learn that. You said that if you are aware that you're kind of shooting at a moving target in terms of training that the industry needs, you are willing and able to be very flexible about adjusting what training opportunities that you offer. I think most employers would be really surprised to learn that, and I think knowing that at this point, it really kind of encourages this kind of open dialogue and this kind of partnership to exist.
Well, that's the benefit of working with a community college, especially a Lewis and Clark. Not only are we flexible, we're nimble. And unlike most traditional institutions where change takes too much time, we are small enough that we can quickly adjust to meet the needs of the employers. I mean, that's why we exist, not to hold people up in, bureaucratic policies and processes, but to find out what's needed and make it happen. Because we don't want individuals who need employment, to be sitting around waiting and then, go back into a lifestyle that doesn't afford them the opportunities they really want.
Right, right. That's fantastic. So, with government subsidies kind of allowing for, training opportunities to exist, and even kind of allowing for employers to even save money on labor, a lot of times with Community Youth Employment Program, even SYEP, Summer Youth Employment Program, and upcoming, Invest in Illinois Youth programs coming out. There's WIOA, all different types of grant opportunities. With those, there's opportunities for employers to save money. There's opportunities for the individuals to gain, valuable training experience and work experience. And there's opportunities for the colleges and universities to get kind of an enhanced talent pool or enhanced pool of people to work with, kind of an infusion from the nonprofits. But there's also grant opportunities, with second chance employers. There's tax breaks for employers and those type of things. I think the key for the employer piece, as far as grant opportunities are concerned, is to kind of be in communication with different types of people. If you're a major employer and you're not working with a person like me, a job developer with a social service agency, you're probably missing out on opportunities, and you're probably missing out on talent, and you're probably missing out on opportunities to upskill your existing staff.
Right. And if there are upskilling needs that Lewis and Clark may not currently provide, even these are areas that we can quickly adapt to and change. One thing I'm going to make available to everybody after this call is the syllabus that we use. That way you all can see exactly what participants are learning, and hopefully see the value in it. We gotten some survey results from our last cohort, and it was nothing but positive feedback. I mean, initially, the adjustment of being in class on time, just kind of getting back into the habit of a traditional kind of school classroom was tough. But once they got involved and started to learn a new skill set, and then they saw the opportunities and dollars and lifestyle attached to that skill set, it made coming to work, it made coming to class a little easier. It made coming and showing up on time a little easier. So, yeah, I don't know, kind of rambling, but we are extremely excited that we've got 15 potential new partners here. And if what we're saying doesn't quite gel yet, this is the point of having this open dialogue and figuring out ways to make it happen, because we know that there's a lot of demand for these types of jobs, and we know we have a lot of individuals who need work. So we're very excited, and hopefully we can get some people trained before the end of this year. That's what we're looking forward to. Lewis and Clark is ready to provide some training opportunities and use connections to success's dollars to do it.
And we're more than happy to continue to do that. The grants that we're working with right now, in the St. Louis region, we have plenty of training dollars available. So, and we're pushing our people towards training opportunities with Lewis and Clark. So we really appreciate the partnership, and we are also pushing people through Lewis and Clark and hoping on the backside to our employee partners like Higher Level. And but I say this all the time, and I think being a kind of a social service worker makes me a little bit of a bleeding heart. But the beauty of this is, if you create a pipeline with personal and professional development, and training and education and employment, at any point in that pipeline for an individual, if something changes or life happens and life hits you, you don't ever really have to lose people. You just kind of send them back to the beginning of that loop, reformulate a plan, and attack it in a different direction. And you kind of create that closed circuit, and your neighborhood start to look really different. And that's what we're about, on the social service end. And I know, Davy, you're about that as well. And employer partners. People give business a bad name sometimes, and they look at it as kind of heartless or whatnot. But those are people; those are human beings too.
Sure, I would like to chime in here too. So we do have some people attending the webinar this morning that they're not necessarily in the Metro East or the same areas. Could either one of you speak on, where to start in their market if they're looking to partner with different resources for training programs? Just give a little bit of insight on that.
I'll let you take that one, Trayvon.
So you broke up a little bit, Aaron, so I missed kind of a part of what you were saying.
Well, that's okay. So we do have others from different states on the webinar this morning outside of your focus area of St. Louis and the Metro East. So what advice do you have for our attendees today that are looking to get more information on training programs in their areas?
So yeah, I can jump all over that. So and I'm sorry, I do sometimes get like St. Louis area centric or even Illinois centric at times, because that's where the vast majority of my experience comes from. But a lot of these programs are federal programs. So there's always some of the bigger nonprofits like your urban leagues, United Way, those kind of national names and older names. They're always working with the federal kind of workforce programs like WIA and WIOA, DOL apprenticeships. Those kind of things exist all over the place. What I really like about the St. Louis area is you have those things, and you also have kind of regional workforce boards, and those people can provide kind of leverage and funding and things to provide training opportunities. So those things don't only exist in the St. Louis area, and even when those things are kind of unique about this area, there's always your bigger kind of name brand nonprofits like United Way that you can kind of plug into and kind of figure out what those opportunities like.
Yeah, and for people who if there's a community college in your area, I mean, by all means, reach out to the community college. That's why they exist, and they are more than willing to bend over backwards to make it happen for your training needs. So, form a relationship with maybe their workforce development area. Who else? Yeah, probably the workforce development area, the CTE area, continuing education. Those are the areas in community colleges that really look for partnerships with companies, because we have a lot of non-traditional students and people are coming back for employment. So yeah.
Career resource centers at the bigger schools do kind of a good job of being connected to the major employers and as well as the nonprofits at the same time. I know SIU Evansville does a really good job of work with their office before McKendree, Lindenwood. Those offices are very, very engaged also. So if you have a bigger university, not necessarily community college in your area, connect with their career resource center. Obviously your community colleges and those good nonprofits in your area. Connect with those people, and if we use a little bit of creativity and kind of think outside the box, we can really kind of formulate some really good partnerships that lead to success for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that answered the question with all of that.
Yes, that's good. So Trayvon, with your experience, I don't know if you could speak a little bit to our audience just about how continuing education, these certification programs ties back to the success and retention of job seekers and candidates as well.
Yes, I can speak to that. So what I've seen is with retention, especially having a little bit of personal development, professional development up front really helps with that, and also training it, getting some certifications. Right now we're seeing a lot of short-term certifications, but what happens when you kind of pair those things and you have partnerships like we have, you're able to move people kind of more into livable wage situations, and people are just generally a little bit more, a little happier when you do a lot of kind of work on the front end with the professional or personal development piece like we do at Connections. People are more equipped to kind of be more resilient and more progressive. So you end up with an all-around better product as an employer, and you can kind of progress those people if you have plans to be able to progress those people. If X amount of time and you get X certificate and X work experience, we can move you into a higher position, a little more responsibility, maybe a little more pay. It's easier to kind of keep those people when there's kind of a goal, kind of almost putting a carrot out there. It's easier to kind of keep people in the loop.
Yeah. And what we found working with those groups is that the expectation level, there was a disconnect between what the employers expected and what the employees thought they should be doing. And so, they would show up for class, just kind of casually walking in as though they were on time. And we know that translates to their attitude toward work. And so, having an opportunity to really train people in what we consider probably common sense behavior for a work environment, it's not common sense. It was surprising how adults simply didn't know or didn't think that it was acceptable to show up late and then to have consequences. So in terms of retention, if you prepare an individual for what the expectation is, once they show up to your workplace as a better product, better employee, you will probably have fewer incidents because the expectation is already known. They spent 8 weeks preparing for this. Whereas if they don't have this, you probably have a lot of turnover. I don't know if there are any studies that would suggest that individuals who come through a pipeline like this are retained at a higher rate, but I would probably venture to say that they are. I don't see how they couldn't be.
And I would add, what makes this a little bit unique is, generally with those other programs that we talked about, Community Youth Employment Program, those are kind of, those are short-term programs, and those programs have a kind of an expiration date. With Connections, we don't close files, so we can kind of continue to walk with people throughout the course of their journey. And one of the ways we do that, and I think that's applicable to this audience, is every Wednesday from 1 to 2, we do what we call Career Connect. And that's kind of a space to where, very much like this, to where we can kind of connect virtually with employers and individuals who are job seekers. And these are people that we are continually working with. And we even do some light, professional development in those things. And we've developed a few products that we use. One of those is a segment that we call professional communication. And a lot of that is, being at work on time with the right body language and in the right uniform and being sharp and, just communicating effectively and appropriately with, co-workers and even management. And some of that stuff, like we said, should be common sense or, what was taught at home and that sort of stuff. Everybody's situation is not the same. And we want to meet people where they are and service everyone. So to kind of supplement, whether or not people had that or got that or didn't think that was important, we reiterate those things. And that program is continuous. It's a weekly thing, so people have access to that. You know what I mean? So this is a little bit different than a program that's 6 months here and it's gone, or a year here and it's gone. And this kind of pipeline is it can be utilized by anyone. Any industry we can kind of plug in. I think it's unique also because it's a win for everyone involved. You know what I mean? There's any way you look at it, the employer wins, the individual wins, the nonprofits win, the training institute, higher level education level institutions win also. So Aaron, did we get any questions in the chat box? Other questions in the chat box?
So we did have someone ask, so this, speaking on retention and upskilling, could either one of you speak on how this relates to or building internship or apprenticeship programs?
So I can speak to that. I've worked with I've worked with DOL apprenticeship programs before, and you can kind of plug this right in the same way. So recently I worked with a DOL apprenticeship that was a soil-free agricultural. I don't know the exact terms. They grew vegetables in like not soil and inside of warehouses and things. It was, to me, very new to me. But there was a company that sponsored this. There was a DOL, the SIUE was doing this down at the higher education campus, and so there's a higher education institution involved, and we had a work program that was also kind of a three-way partnership as well. So people were paid well. I think they were getting like $18.50 to sit in class and learn, and then at one point they would get hands-on and really learn how to do these things. But the company that sponsored it was kind of pipelining people straight from the class into their company. And that was a super win for everyone involved. Not only those people get paid well, they earned what they learned. The company was able to also kind of perfect their training at no cost to them. So they were able to perfect their training mechanisms, and that saved that company a lot. And they were also able to learn how to retain those people because they knew those people for a good while before they actually worked for them. So that situation is a little bit unique. Obviously, not everyone's going to be able to do that, but wherever there are DOL apprenticeship programs, if you're an employer where that is applicable, or kind of like Davi says, what we don't have, we create. You know what I mean? So a lot in this new era, this post COVID-19 era, if you could say that's the thing, we're learning how to do things virtually. And as employers, I've spoken to employers recently, who say, hey, we're hurting for these people because nobody's training these people in this area. And I said, well, why are you not? And they're like, oh, we never thought of it. Well, we can do a lot of things virtually now that didn't necessarily exist before. So training opportunities of all sorts can kind of be generated, kind of in-house, and we can kind of solve our own problems if we need to.
Yeah, because we can, I love the piece of the online virtual learning because the whole classroom, 5 weeks can be done just like that. And then we could even schedule, one-on-one or, very, very small group sessions for the actual forklift simulation training that takes place on campus. So yeah, it's very easy, very doable. And one last thing, I work with St. Clair County, and the apprenticeship coordinator, Lee Reese, said as long as our program is in 44 hours, which it is, then it applies for a DOL apprenticeship grant. So we are in the background trying to make that happen. So it's easier for employers, just to send their people right to us, and we'll train them and send them back. So we do meet the criteria to be established as a DOL apprenticeship grant because of the number of credit hours involved in the program.
And see, we bring that whole thing full circle because the grants that we work with, we're funded to send our participants through that type of training that is DOL approved. So whoever we work with, we can send to you, and you can send to employers, and it's just a continuous cycle of win-win. So yeah. I think hopefully we answered your question after all that also.
Yes, that's good. So I do not see any more questions coming in, but if you all have any questions, feel free to type those in the question box and we can get those answered for you. I think it's eye-opening to some of us, with programs like the Career Connect, Your Connections to Success, and really the flexibility that community colleges have with working with employers and helping build training programs based on the workforce needs. I think that's great advice, is just knowing that nothing's necessarily cutter. It can be customized for different employer needs. So that's great.
Yeah, really, you hit it on the head right there. And I think just kind of being creative and being able to think outside the box, you can basically customize whatever at this point in time. And this is probably the first time in the history of this country where we can say nonprofits have too much money right now. So if we're all kind of working together, talking and being creative, we can figure out whatever it is we need to serve our communities and so that everybody wins.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right, Trayvon and Davi, I'm not sure if you have anything else to share. I do not see any other questions coming in. I feel like we covered the topic pretty well. I don't know if you want to give your contact information for future outreach. If anyone has any questions, I think that would be great.
Okay, yeah. Did you want us to give that now?
Yeah, we could actually include that. So Davi, we will send out your syllabus that you're going to do, and I can include both of your contact information if that's what you would like to do.
Yeah, perfect.
Definitely so. And I would advise if people are looking for grant opportunities, like I said, contact those major nonprofits. But you can also view those things yourself. Grants.gov. Every major sector of government has their own local grants section. So also in Illinois, we have Grant Accountability and Transparency Act. So there's a website where you can view how the state's spending every grant dollar. You can apply for grants there also. So
All right, great. Well, we do have a couple of messages coming in, but everybody's just giving you praise on great insights and appreciating your time this morning. So we appreciate it.
Happy to do it.
As always, I'm very happy to do it.
All right, great. Well, I think that wraps up for this morning. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. We will be responding back with the recording and some further information if you all have any questions. And thank you for spending your morning with us. And again, Trayvon and Dobby, we do appreciate your insights and advice. And I think everybody has some good actionable items to take back with them this week.
Great.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for having us again, Aaron. I appreciate you.
Yep. Thanks,
You're
Aaron.
welcome.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. Appreciate you.
Thank you all.